Hi and welcome to my Butterfly City and Heaven's Cradle After Incidents, another Eden version 1.6.6 update video. Now let's talk about what's new that came to another Eden. We have Saki, another style, and Asuka, another style added to the game. We have another dungeon called the Beast King Castle with new equipments added, and we have the encounters that will be able to unlock Saki's another style in the game. First off, I want to do a quick recap on Mighty Another Style since I did miss him out on my previous video. He is a 5-star rarity unit, water element, is a blunt, staff, and ring user, and he is a light type. You can obtain his Hypnotist Memoir through any very hard dungeons after you beat the boss, except for every regional's area 4, or you could get 2 of his memoirs from the Nopu shop. Next we have Saki, another style. She's a 5-star rarity, element is water, she is a blunt staff ring user, and she is a light type as well. You can unlock her another style by beating the Cradle System encounters for free. Last but not least, we have Asuka's another style. She comes in 5-star rarity, is a wind element, and she is a slash katana ring user, and she is a light type. You can obtain her Starlight Memoir in any very hard dungeon except the region A4, or you can obtain 2 of her memoirs in the Nopu shop as well. She has actually one of my favorite designs of any another style characters in the game, just plugging that in. Next we have the Beast King's Castle Another Dungeon new equipments. This dungeon I recall being one of my most farmed another dungeon for a time when I did play on the Japanese servers, as all their equipments are fairly high stat that carried me on to 2.0's update. So this place is pretty worthwhile to farm if you don't want to farm the regional stuff. Next, let's talk about the Cradle System. The fight against the Cradle System is basically the same as any of the past encounters with Azami, Garyu, Serene. You do one encounter fight, wait 6 hours, and then you can do another encounter fight as well. The nice thing about this encounter though is that you unlock Saki's another style without the need of scripts or tomes. Now let's just talk about the battles 1 through 3. 1 through 3 are fought against Search Bits Alpha, Beta, and Gamma with increasing difficulty. You start the quest at the bus stop at Alzion, as provided by the pic on the left with Aldo and Saki with the red exclamation point. The first battle takes place after you accept the quest, where you're going to be in the bus in transit at Alzion. The second battle, you can start it at the rooftop of IDA School H Block, and Battle 3 starts at the air tube station of IDA School H Block. And to briefly go over the fight against the Search Bits, Alpha Beta don't have weaknesses, but Gamma is weak to magic. You can see that Alpha mainly focuses on single target, while Beta focuses on AoEs, and Gamma is a mix between single target and AoE attacks with speed debuffs, and Gamma at 60% or lower HP does gain the ability to heal and regen all allies when it cycles through its turn 1. When it's above 60%, it actually doesn't do anything for turn 1 as well. So the fight's pretty straightforward. The only thing is that Beta does have a AoE taunt that can mess up your party's attack against Gamma when Gamma starts to cast heals. But if your party's already at endgame, which I believe most people should be at this point, it shouldn't be an issue at all. Next, let's go over the Cradle System's battles 4 and 5. Battles 4 and 5 are fought against Delta, Epsilon, and Omega. The fourth battle takes place at the city entrance of the IDA School, and Battle 5 takes place at the medical realm of IDA School. Now let's go over the breakdown. Delta's weak to slash, but is resistance to pierce, blunt, and magic. His moveset starts off with an AoE rage, single target power with power debuff, and he self buffs physical resistance to himself. Epsilon is weak to fire, and he resists slash, blunt, and magic except for fire. And his moveset is more AoE focused, with his turn 1 causing an intellect debuff to your entire party for 5 turns, so make sure your healers are not on the front. Next we have Omega. He basically has a 32 turn counter, where once it gets to 32 turns, if you're not able to kill him by then, he will pretty much wipe your party. And for him, he has 4 different phases, from 100 to 75%. You know, he's weak to magic while immune to physical. For the next 25% health, he's weak to slash and immune to everything else. Then from 50% to 25%, he's weak to pierce and immune to everything else. And the last quarter of his health, he's weak to blunt while being immune to everything else. And his moveset is single target physical into single target physical with pain into area of effect physical. And then when he reaches 75% or lower health, it sort of changes a little bit, where he gains a self power buff, which makes him more and more increasingly dangerous, and he gains access to a AoE magic based wind attack. So here are some of the strategies that I would recommend for the Cradle system. The kill order should be the 2 adds first, Delta and Epsilon, and into Omega. Delta's rage debuff can really handicap your single target DPS users, and Epsilon spams a lot of debuffs on you. If you do have Xion and Aldo at 5 stars, they pretty much make this fight very easy, as they could knock out both of the adds at around 75% of another force bar. If you don't feel confident enough, just do it at 100%. And once Omega is alone, it's all about keeping up with your buffs and debuffs on the boss and hitting it with any skills that he is not immune to. Now here are some of the units that I would recommend. Aldo and Xion are great together. Aldo has access to a XL AoE, Xion has access to a XL Fire Slash, and his power debuff Valor Chant is great to reduce the enemy's incoming damage. Azami isn't as potent as the previous 2 mentioned, but she has access to the intellect debuff, which is great against Omega's AoE magic wind. Asuka can be mainly used as a Valor Chant machine to help mitigate the damage coming in. Finally, Tsukiha and Nagi, I don't think they're going to be as useful in this encounter. They'll still be decent damage dealers, but they do lack some of the key utilities that some of the previous mentioned users offer. If you do use Tsukiha, try to either pair her with Iwan or Seti to be able to complement each other, but you are sacrificing a character slot for 2 units. Next, let's go over Pierce units. We have Suzette, another style, which is basically the best single target DPS in the game for now and for a while. The boss is weak to Pierce, so she can pretty much kill it at 40% health with a full another force bar. If you do have a regional spear at +5 or above. Leclerc is a decent DPS as well, and her access to power debuff Valor Chant is great, but know that since she doesn't do the most damage when she does get debuffed, it does hinder her a lot. Seti is also a decent DPS as well, but since he doesn't really have any access to area of effects, he's not as potent, but his intellect debuff can be used against Omega's AoE magic wind. Next we have blunt users. Felmina is right now probably one of the best blunt DPS units in the game. She has access to a triple wind blunt attack that gets buffed if the boss has poison or pain on it, and her XL slash is useful when Omega's health is at 75 to 50%. Just know that she is mana hungry, so you do have to look out for that. Next we have Serene. She can be mainly used for the last 25% of the boss if you do not have Felmina. So outside of that, she's pretty much just a sponge until you guys get him down to 25%. The next unit is Loquito. He does less damage than Serene, but the power debuff that he offers through his Valor Chant utility more than makes up for it. Next we have Iwan, who is mainly there used to kill Epsilon, and he pairs well with Tsukiha. Next we have the magic users. Let's go over Garyu first. He's pretty much made for this fight. He has an access to extra large AoE fire attacks that handles both Omega and Epsilon very well. He also has access to a wind barrier for Omega's wind attack. Mighty, another style, while being a little bit inferior to Garyu for this fight in particular, since he can't do as much damage to Delta or Epsilon, but he can nuke Omega at 75% HP with meditation proc. Intellect debuff is helpful against Omega's wind area of effect as well. Next we have Levia, who is pretty much, if you have Levia, you probably have Garyu, so why use Levia unless you just want to have a harder time. Myris, while she doesn't heal as much as Mario's, but her medium style heals should be able to sustain yourself and your party enough for the fight, unless Omega starts to gain stacks of his power buff and Delta and Epsilon are not going down fast enough. And finally, if you have Mario, just use her, because why not? She's pretty much going to help make the fight a bit easier too. So yeah, anyways, that's pretty much it for the Another Eden 1.6.6 video, guys. Hopefully you found this video helpful. I'll provide the link to the guide in the description below, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye now.